This is the contractor safety orientation for the Malaga Power Plant. Welcome to Malaga Power Plant. The purpose of this training is to provide an overview of general workplace hazards and the applicable environmental, health, and safety programs and procedures. These safety guidelines apply to all work at all Malaga Energy facilities. General facility access. Access to the site is restricted. You must sign in and out when entering or leaving the facility. Parking is available in designated areas only unless authorized by Malaga personnel. Before starting work on site, you must obtain all required briefings and permits from the control authority. Roadways must remain clear to allow emergency vehicle access. Worker responsibilities. All personnel have the right and responsibility to stop work immediately if they observe any unsafe conditions or have safety concerns. All personnel doing work at Malaga facilities must comply with Malaga programs and procedures. Contact any Malaga personnel if you have any safety questions or concerns. Job hazard analysis and permitting. All work on site starts with a job hazard analysis. A safe work permit begins the work permit process. Following the safe work permit, other permits may be required, including lockout tagout, confined space entry, hot work, crane work. Do not start work until you have completed the work permit process. Lockout tagout. Do not operate any isolation devices that have a lockout tagout tag on them. Only trained and authorized persons may perform and exercise control over lockout tagout activities. Before starting work on any locked out equipment, a representative from each contractor must sign on to the lockout tagout. Hot work permits. Obtain a hot work permit from the control authority if the job requires welding, burning, grinding, or any other spark-producing activity. The permit is valid for a maximum of 1 shift or 12 hours, whichever is shorter. Review the hot work permit safety requirements before starting the work task. Confined space entry. Confined spaces, permit and non-permit required, are labeled. Prior to entering any permit-required confined space, obtain the confined space permit. A designated confined space attendant must pass the confined space attendance test before starting duties. Enter permit-required confined space only if attendant is present. Unattended confined spaces must be barricaded. Personal protective equipment. Workers must provide their own PPE. Be properly trained on PPE, and use and maintain PPE in a sanitary and reliable condition. Workers and visitors must wear at a minimum the following PPE while in the power block: hard hat, safety glasses, steel composite-toed work boots or shoes, hearing protection. Hazardous materials. Malaga makes the following information available to workers: hazardous materials PPE requirements, access to MSDS, labeling systems for hazardous materials, emergency procedures, spill response procedures. And workers who bring hazardous materials on site must provide an MSDS to the control authority. Electrical safety. An energized electrical work permit is required for energized electrical work. Damaged electrical tools and cords must not be used. Ground fault circuit interrupters must be used whenever plugging into non-GFCI outlets. Tools must be unplugged when not in use, and electrical cords must be elevated off the ground whenever possible to prevent a tripping hazard. Fall protection. Fall protection PPE must be worn when working more than 4 feet above ground if there is no guardrails or other built-in fall protection. Contractors must provide their own fall protection equipment and must inspect before each use. Ladder safety. Only fiberglass ladders are allowed on site. Wood and metal ladders are prohibited. Ladders must be inspected before each use. They must be tall enough for the job, and ladders must be used properly. No standing on the top cap and rung, no overreaching, and maintain 3 points of contact when climbing. Scaffolding safety. All scaffolds must conform to applicable industry and construction standards. Only qualified and competent personnel are permitted to erect, alter, or dismantle scaffolds. Scaffolding may only be used after it has been inspected, is safe, and has an inspection tag. Safe lifting. When lifting heavy objects, personnel must not lift or carry heavy objects alone and use the appropriate tools for the job. Barricades. Barricades must be used to control access to hazardous areas. Red danger or yellow caution tape is used at Malaga facilities. Barricade tape is a warning of a temporary hazard. Do not enter a barricaded area unless you are involved in a particular task and are signed on to the work permit. Identify what type of barricade may be required for a particular work task. Crane safety. Postings are placed in prominent locations whenever crane activities are occurring. Check postings each day for any scheduled crane work. Personnel must stay clear of crane work unless they are directly involved in the crane activities and are signed on to the crane permit. Follow Malaga crane briefing plans whenever working with a crane. Mobile equipment. Non-Malaga employees are not allowed to operate Malaga-owned mobile equipment without express permission of Malaga management. Contractor-provided mobile equipment must be certified to meet all applicable regulations. Mobile equipment operators must provide Malaga with proof of training prior to operating any mobile equipment on site. Accident and incident reporting. All accident, incidents, and near misses must be reported to the control authority. Emergency action. Immediately notify the control authority of all emergencies, including injuries, accidents, chemical events, fire, or electrical shock. Evacuation. An evacuation may be required in the following situations: fire or explosion, hazardous materials release, or bomb threat. An on-off repeated pattern from the general alarm horn indicates that there is an evacuation required. Head to your site's evacuation muster location and follow instructions from the Malaga personnel. A continuous horn blast for 10 seconds indicates the alarm is clear. Shown is the evacuation route and mustering stations for Malaga. The primary and secondary muster stations at Malaga are located at the top of the map. First aid. First aid kits are on site and available. AEDs are on site and Malaga personnel are trained in their use. Notify your supervisor and the control authority if anything occurs that requires first aid response. Emergency procedure for chemical exposure. Be aware of locations of eye wash stations and safety showers in your area. Keep a clear path to eye wash stations and safety showers. Immediately remove contaminated clothing in the event of a chemical exposure and flush the affected area with water for at least 15 minutes. Notify your supervisor and control authority as soon as possible. Thermal extremes. Heat stress. Know the signs and symptoms of heat stress. Look out for your coworkers. Drink plenty of fluids and take short breaks in cool or shaded areas. Biological resources. Malaga facilities are located within the habitat of protected species. Do not harm or harass any animals while at Malaga facilities. Many animals that are protected look similar to non-protected animals. Assume they are all protected. Prior to moving any trees, bushes, or other plants, review with Malaga Control Authority. Be aware of any hazardous animals such as rattlesnakes and scorpions. Housekeeping. Keep your work area clean. Remove debris and clean up any chemical or oil spills right away. Report all spills to the Control Authority. Do not create tripping hazards. Keep catwalks clear of debris. And do not block emergency exit paths, eye wash stations, safety showers, and fire extinguishers. California Proposition 65. Warning. Detectable amounts of chemicals known to the state of California to cause cancer, birth defects, and other reproductive harm may be found in and around this facility. If you have any questions, please let the Control Authority know. Other policies. Do not bring any weapons on site. Do not bring drugs or alcohol on site. Smoking and vaping is allowed only in approved and designated areas. Unsafe behavior such as horseplay and fighting is not allowed, and eat only in designated locations. Clean hands of any contaminant. Questions. If you have any questions, please let the Control Authority know. Welcome to Malaga.